Here. Okay, go ahead, start. Well, good evening, my North America family. Welcome to our week 2. We're so excited to have an opportunity to welcome you to this so special webinar that we have for you tonight. And it's all about how do you become a product pro. And tonight we have a delightful guest. I'm so honored and so excited to have an opportunity to introduce to you Dr. Vincent Giampapa. In just a couple minutes you'll be hearing from him. So excited. And today we're going to be discovering and understanding all of the benefits of AM/PM essentials. And so I hope you have your pencils sharpened and you're ready for everything that we have to go. So before that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn it over to Dr. Vincent Giampapa. And at the end of the call, we're going to go ahead and do some announcements to be able to share with you specifically all about what is going on in the North America market. And so it is such an honor to have the opportunity to have the Dr. Vincent Giampapa. He's a scientific advisory board for Jeunesse. He's a nominee of the Nobel Prize in 2014. We're going to hear about that, about all his research. An iconic doctor, so well known and respected in all fields across the industry. And so we are delightful to have him associated in the mind behind AM/PM. And so without further ado, Dr. Giampapa, are you on?
I am here, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, and the stage is all yours.
Okay. So I want to welcome everybody, and it's really my pleasure to talk about one of the core products involved in the Jeunesse product line, and that is AM/PM Essentials. You know, if you take a look at what we call the global aging tsunami, what we're going to see is that there's a massive increase in the number of people who are going to be 60 and over. Now, this is going to create an issue for most developed countries because the question arises is how do we keep the global aging population healthy? Well, this is just an example of why Jeunesse is going to continue to be successful because our marketplace will continue to grow almost logarithmically decade by decade and year by year. And one of the key things is to start focusing on the prevention of diseases, and the whole core of whether or not we get diseases is how well our cells function, or what we call our cellular health. So we could, okay. Next one. So AM/PM Essentials is based on some of the original work that we did a number of years ago on actually turning certain genes on and off or activating key genes. And one of the key things to keep in mind with this product, it is not a vitamin mineral supplement alone. In fact, probably no more than about 25 to 30% of the ingredients are vitamins and minerals. The real essence of this product is the natural compounds from nature, the phytochemicals, some of the herbal compounds, the enzymes. These things together have been designed to be placed at AM/PM to actually start to help regulate the genes that get turned off and the other genes that get turned on as we age. So this is really what we refer to as an epigenetic product, or a product based on the latest science of cellular aging. When we look at the key things that cause cells to age, there are a number of key things we look at. We look at, for instance, changes in how the genes are turned on and off, the fact that many of the cells cannot even sense the nutrients they need, the mitochondria or the energy factories of our cells start to dysfunction, and the collection of older damaged cells has recently been targeted as a key new piece of information in the cellular aging process. I think also importantly is the concept of stem cells. And you know, we're all born with a fixed number of stem cells, and as we age, those number of stem cells not only decrease, but the quality of function of those cells as well. And that's one of the major things we're going to be talking about a little later in this presentation. So when we look at our Jeunesse product line, what we notice is a really well organized and created system where the products not only have been designed to focus on a specific process that occurs within the aging process in all of us, but the products have been designed to be utilized from the inside out. That is AM, PM, whether it's tablets or the new powder. Mind, Finity, Nevo, and Reserve are all products that work from the inside out. The Luminesce product line works from the outside in. And the fact that these products have been designed not just isolated in their formularies, but actually created to work synergistically together is what really distinguishes Giampapa from other MLMs. So what I'm trying to say is when we use a number of products together, the impact or effects of our products are synergistic. They work together and the actual impact or effect is enhanced. Okay. So what's the concept here behind AM/PM? You know, we have about 100 trillion cells in our body. Now, some of those cells are stem cells, some of them are body cells. But the secret is, how can we actually impact each one of those cells to work better? So our research was designed basically to look at how to improve the function of one cell only. And once we knew how to do that, we could basically apply that science and technology to all the cells. And so the secret here is keeping your cells as healthy as possible. And as we do that, we not only improve the health we experience at the moment, but we improve the health we experience in the future. And about every 7 years, each one of those 100 trillion cells are completely replaced in our body. Okay. So 100 trillion cells. Why is that an important number? Well, within each one of those 100 trillion cells are 10 feet of DNA. Now imagine 2 meters of DNA wrapped in a cell so tiny your eye can't even see it. And then each one of those segments of DNA, there are 30,000 genes. Okay, but the secret here is that any one time of your life, only about 10% or 3,000 of those genes have been activated. And the secret is to keep the right sequence of those genes as we age, to keep the right grouping of those genes functioning optimally so we do not experience the magnitude of aging, the bone pain, loss of memory, other things. And that's really where we are focused, to try to enhance the groups of genes that we know that are involved in cellular aging and regulate how they work. So another thing to keep in mind is the definitions of what we're trying to do. So wellness today is really about having your cells work and function at an age that's normal to your biological age. So if you're 30 years old, your cells are aging at a normal rate. Okay. Anti-aging, or preventing or lessening the cellular aging process, is what we're now working at with the products at Giampapa. That is, particularly AM/PM has been designed, if you will, to restore the right activity of the key genes. So in essence, the product has been designed to slow down what we refer to as cellular aging by restoring the right grouping of genes that we know are involved in the cellular aging process. Now, when we come to age reversal, that's a whole new thing. Now, at the moment, Giampapa is not involved in that, and this is something that we're already doing in the clinic and that we're continuing to do research on. But basically, age reversal has to do with the following. As we age, we lose both the number and function of our stem cells, and we're born with a fixed number. So the real secret to reversing aging is to be able to maintain the numbers of the stem cells that we've been born with as long as possible, but more importantly, maintain their function at an optimal level. And for instance, in my clinic in Montclair, New Jersey, we not only do that, we actually collect stem cells and we're able to store them and give them back to people as we notice that their aging process seems to be in a more rapid mode. And these are the type of things we'll be talking about in the near future that were science fiction, but really now are science fact. So as I said, what's important about these two groups of cells is our adult stem cells, the yellow cells here, are the ones that are actually necessary to restore the damaged these red somatic cells. For instance, as we age, if we get in an accident and cut our arms or our fingers, the body cells will send out a signal to the interior of our body, and stem cells will rush to that site to repair it. In the normal process of aging, for instance, as the body, these red cells wear out, a similar signal is sent to the internal aspect of the body, and stem cells will then rush to, for instance, the heart, the liver, the lungs, in order to replace and repair those cells that had kind of died or stopped functioning due to the fact that they've exhausted how many times they can make copies of themselves. So the secret here is to keep both the stem cells and body cells in as optimal health as possible so they can be utilized as long as possible. And again, AM/PM impacts both our adult stem cells and our somatic or body cells. So I won't waste a lot of time on this, but what I need to explain is that we now understand, for instance, that the aging process, whether it's in our body cells or stem cells, is a continuous thing. For instance, on the far left, we'll see that it says cell cycle normal. Well, here our cells are working optimally. And as our cells continue to age and suffer some damage to their genetic machinery, their DNA, they not only stop dividing, but and you'll see here in the early portion of the slide, quiescence, the cells get quiet, they're not dividing. In early senescence, they start to produce compounds, almost like bad exhaust from your car, that will actually cause your normal cells to start to age more quickly. And if they're not repaired or maintained in a more optimal state, these damaged senescent cells can turn into cancer, or they can be eliminated by the body, provided our genetic machinery is left intact. So the aging process occurs in the cells in a continuous linear fashion from left to right. The good news is we can actually intercede in this process, slow it down, and sometimes even actually reboot the cells that are damaged, these quiescent and senescent cells, back into a functional state and actually experience a better sense in physical health in general. So when we're talking about the aging process, as I said, it's a continuous process. Although we looked at it from the cellular point of view, now we're going to look at it at the total body point of view. You know, aging from infancy to childhood, to adolescence, to adulthood here in the middle, is what we call positive aging or developmental aging. And the genes that are required for us to go from an infant to an adult, a healthy adult, are the genes we'd like to keep activated as we grow older. But up until recently, we would continue to kind of change that profile of our genes, and the aging process would start to continue more rapidly and more rapidly, almost in a snowball effect. So aging from an early adulthood to old age is considered negative aging, and our whole research is how can we keep that process at its slowest rate as possible. And again, looking at the concepts of A and PM, we can go to the next slide. What you'll see is as we age, these damaged or senescent cells start to increase in number and we age quicker and quicker. Now let me give you an example. AM/PM Essentials has been designed to help slow that process down. And for instance, Reserve has certain compounds that actually help inhibit the formation of these senescent cells. Okay, and what you start to do and start to see is as we start to use the products Genes has come out with together, the impact continues to improve and is even greater on this whole process that we now understand better, cellular aging. So again, this is another key compound. Unhealthy cells, the ones that have been damaged, what we call senescent cells. In this slide, you'll see them, they're releasing what looks like little clouds of these white materials. And what these things are inflammatory compounds, pieces of DNA and RNA that will interact with their neighbors and actually start accelerating the aging process in the healthy neighboring cells. So the secret here is not only to help keep your healthy cells functioning optimally, but to try to do whatever possible is to limit the formation of a larger number of these non-senescent cells. And again, we're looking at things, ingredients in reserve, ingredients in AM/PM that actually have been added to these formulas to slow down the production of these negative compounds. So the youth enhancement system, what is it? It's a system that has been designed to make sure the products that we all create at Jeunesse are not only targeted for a specific purpose, but actually are based on the science of cellular aging, so that as we use them jointly, the impact is greater and greater. And one of the key things is to try to keep our DNA, our genetic software that runs all the cell functions, as optimally as possible. So DNA repair is the key to aging well, or limiting damage to your DNA repair. And again, I spoke about negative aging, that is from adulthood to older age. What determines how quickly we age is the amount of damage to our stem cells and body cells, and the more damage we get, the quicker we age. So rather than read the slide, I'll tell you a little story. We were looking at trying to find what one of the key processes inside the cell might be linked to living longer and healthier. And one of the things we looked at was people who live to be 100 years or older. These are called centenarians. And when we looked at their white blood cells, and we looked at certain, if you will, enzymes or compounds within those cells, what we found was amazing, was that the people that lived to be 100 years old had significantly higher levels of the enzyme involved in DNA repair than people who were younger, that is even 20 to 70-year-old people. So it seems that if you can increase the amount of repair to your genetic machinery, even if you're 100, you may actually be in better shape than somebody who's 20, 30, 40, or 50. The next thing we looked at is, gee, if animals, how come certain animals live longer and other animals don't? And we started to look at how long do guinea pigs live, rabbits, sheep, chimpanzees, monkeys, gorillas, elephants, and man. And so what we realized and started to see that is damage to your DNA, or the ability to repair that damaged DNA, was about 5 times higher in humans than it was in these animals below them. Again, another key that here's where we need to focus to keep our DNA healthy. And that's what we've been doing again with the creation of AM/PM. We can go to the next slide. The ingredients in AM/PM have been, for instance, included to reduce what we call free radical damage. That is the negative energy particles produced when we metabolize carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And there's a number of categories of ingredients that actually help each one of the little organelles inside the cell synergistically work better with each other. So that was one of the key things. The other thing we started to look at is our body has a built-in biological clock. And I think if we go to the next slide, I can talk about that. Okay, before we do that, what's the importance of nutrients and phytochemicals? You know, as human beings, we evolved over the last 500,000 years, mostly on plants and phytochemicals and phytoextracts and herbs. And we only started to eat meat relatively late in our evolutionary process. Now, these key compounds from plants in general were the things that got into our system, entered in and through the bloodstream, and eventually got their way into the cell. And we've evolved basically to be able to utilize these compounds again to help keep our DNA healthy, and also change the genetic switches that are active when we're in optimal health and when we're young. Not only is that important to help turn those gene switches on, but more importantly, in cells that are improperly nourished, the waste product inside those cells cannot get out. Okay, and if the waste products, the damaged pieces of different parts of the inside of the cell don't get out, the cell will stop to function as well. So the right types of nutrients not only help the gene machinery work better, but also help open the portals to let out the damage inside, the damaged ingredients inside the cells. Okay, next. So this is, again, what makes AMPM unique. What makes it the kind of bottom of the pyramid that helps all the other products work better is it actually helps each one of those 100 trillion cells and helps balance the gene patterns that we find as we age into a more positive aspect. So AMPM is not a vitamin mineral supplement alone. It is really the next evolution or generation beyond vitamins and minerals. So when we talk about epigenetics and we talk about how does that work, I think if you click on the bottom left-hand side, you'll actually see there's a video here. Most likely it will start if you click right in that little arrow. No? Try again. All right, he wants to be a little stubborn tonight, but that's okay. So that's okay. So basically, what I'm going to explain to you on this slide is this is a picture of DNA, okay, the white compounds. Now, DNA is wound around these little green balls which protect the DNA from different compounds. These are called histones. So, and as a specific compounds, for instance, this red molecule here on the left might be resveratrol. As it enters into the cell and interacts inside the nucleus, it will actually cause the genetic machinery to unwind and open up, okay? When that happens, certain genes get turned on and other genes get turned off. And what we find is that the right combinations of ingredients will actually open up different areas of our genetics, allowing more healthy genes to work more optimally, and with certain compounds closing the genetic machinery so that negative genes are not producing the compounds that help accelerate aging or make us less healthy. Next product, next slide. Okay, so the secret here is, what is this? Inside each one of these capsules, if you could actually make it transparent, you would see virtually 90 different ingredients. And you say, well, I can buy these naturally or whatever. The problem with that is throughout the year, most of these compounds are not in bloom all at once. And not only that, it's hard to get their active extracted ingredients out and to be able to be utilized. So what we've done through the basic research process over a number of years is be able to accumulate these key compounds, condense them, and amazingly put all these compounds into 2 tablets in the morning, 2 tablets in the evening. So these natural extracts are what you'll find inside each one of the tablets or powder of AMPM Essentials. And again, how could anyone know what compounds you should take? Because what we actually look at today is a computer software program that we will say we need, in order to flip certain genes up or to make these pathways inside our cells work better, there's specific compounds we need to choose. And today's software programs allow us to look for specific ingredients to impact specific genes as we learn more and more. So AMPM is really a blend of 90 plus nutrients, phytochemicals, probiotics, all balanced into these 2 tablets. Next. And when you look at the list of ingredients, what you're going to find is they're not just isolated ingredients thrown together, but there's specific components. There's cell regulation compounds. There's telomere maintenance compound. There are, and a group of them. So here's what most of our people say. Gee, you know, I can just go out and buy that myself, go to GNC. And frankly, you'd end up with over 90 tablets on a plate as opposed to 2 tablets, 2 caplets or 1 stick. You couldn't even eat all these capsules throughout the day. So this has been a manufacturing and, if you will, biological engineering almost miracle, because to get these active ingredients in 2 AM tablets and 2 PM tablets took a couple of years of research, and actually how could we manufacture it. Next. So we started to talk about not only do we have 2 types of cells, our regenerative adult stem cells and body cells, but built inside those cells is a timing mechanism or a biological clock. Now in the morning, our cells are programmed to work and at full speed, produce energy, maintain cell function, and to optimize certain hormones in the morning, like DHEA, like cortisol. Okay, but in the evening, and this is directly related to sunlight, and we didn't know a lot of this in the past, but the actual sunlight, the power of the energy of sun, when it hits your eyes, actually starts to change the biological clock within our cells. So at night, our cells, when they sense the loss of light through our eyes, through our retinas, the cell aging clock, or that biological clock, starts to change again and put us into a state where our body wants to rest and repair itself. Again, a miraculous thing that nature has come up with. So AM/PM Essentials creates healthy cells at the genetic level by helping to organize what cells are turned on, what genes are turned on and off, but it also helps to regulate our biological clock, which is another new revolutionary approach to cellular aging, because we now know that if you don't sleep and rest in a deep state, your cells are not repairing themselves optimally. And remember, we said damage to our DNA, repair to our DNA is one of the primary things we need to have going on to stay healthy. Next. So what we now have to offer through Jeunesse is not only the tablets, but the AM/PM powder sticks. And the powder sticks are really the same blend of effective ingredients that will help you not only restore your sleep and energy cycles, but are now in a amazingly really good tasting drink. And so the question is, who should use the tablets, who should use the powder sticks? And just to keep in mind, they're not exclusive from one each other. And the reason we came out with this, the powder sticks versus the tablets, were some people have smaller throats, have difficulty swallowing tablets as they get older, and some people have difficulty absorbing the tablets more efficiently due to specific, if you will, biological problems. So we've come up with two formats in order to more widely service the people that need to have these compounds and more bioavailable. So again, what makes this different? We can skip over this one. So the secret here, and one of the reasons why AM/PM is one of the most successful selling products, is it is experiential. So when you take AM/PM within a number of nights, 4 or 5 nights, you not only are going to notice your sleep is better, okay, but you're going to notice your energy starts to get better. Your mental focus is better. Your stress level seems to be less. And at the end of 8 weeks, what we found on this patient reporting test was more than 58% of people at 8 weeks had more energy, and at 68% of people were sleeping better. But at 12 weeks, we noticed that people had even more energy and were sleeping better as well. So it seems that what's really going on here, it takes a full 12 weeks for your body to incorporate the key essential vitamins and minerals and nutrients to actually make that cellular machinery work better. So what are we really talking about? We're talking about a whole new science wrapped up in these tiny little capsules or powders that actually impact our aging genes, that actually impact the metabolic pathways and how our cells function, that can help to restore both the optimal hormonal levels we need. So while aging is a process, I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is that you're the one in control of your ship of health. So we used to think that genetics, we were basically doomed because if our parents had high blood pressure or high cholesterol, so did we. We now know that basically only 30% of what you inherit is really dictated by your genes, and 70% of your present and future health is really controlled by what you know, what compounds you ingest, but more importantly, or as importantly, is your lifestyle. So how we eat, how we exercise, and even the amount of stress in our lives impacts those genes that really help us either stay healthy or age quickly. Next. So here's where we are. I mean, our genes are maybe 30%. Our environment, which includes our supplements, our lifestyle, our exercise, is about 70%. So what we become now, what level of health we have at this moment, and where we're going to be in 7 years from now, or even, for instance, 3 months from now, is really dependent upon how you interact with yourself as far as your daily habits and eating and exercise, as well as your genes. Now, every 3 months, let me make one more comment. Every 3 months, all of that DNA we talked about is completely restored. So every 3 months, you have a whole new genetic software package. Every 7 years, you have each one of those 100 trillion cells replaced. So again, looking at the YES system, what I want to focus on is AM/PM essentials, whether they're tablets or powder, are your basic building block to keep your cells working more optimally, to keep that biological clock restored. And when we do that, each one of these other products, you'll notice, will work more efficiently. And again, AM/PM is all about working from the inside out. The Luminesce product line works from the outside in. And when we do that, I think one of the most impactful things I've seen with my patients is when I give them AM/PM essentials to take and then have them use the Luminesce skincare line, the Advanced Night Repair, the morning serum, if they do it together, they experience a more rapid and more enhanced effect when they use both of those products. So summarizing now, it's about not just about growing older or how many years you have, because you could be 70 years old and chronologically, but actually have a body that's 40 or 50 years old based on how you look, feel, and how much damage those cells have. So the secret is to do everything we can to keep ourselves functional and optimal at the level of our cells. This is just some of the books that are available on Amazon, and they go into more detail about the core science behind Jeunesse, and these are things that you can easily obtain should you want some. And we have them through my office, which you can reach, or you can go to Amazon and get them as well. Next. And I think that's where we're stopping at the book at the last slide. We can go back up to the other slides. Yeah. And so I think if there's anybody who has questions, we can maybe address some of those questions, because usually there is.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Giampapa. We do have some questions here. I'm going to go ahead and read them. The first is, how does AM/PM interact with reserve?
Okay, so AM/PM has the core fundamental ingredients to help jumpstart the cells both at the genetic level and at the cell surface receptor level. Now, reserve has ingredients, has a high level of antioxidant ingredients, polyphenols, and particularly resveratrol, which work with AM/PM to help slow the production of these senescent or damaged cells. And basically that's accomplished through interacting with a specific gene called mTOR. And resveratrol, particularly the form of resveratrol in reserve, has been shown to be quite effective in dampening or turning down the genes that make senescent cells.
Perfect, thank you. Also, the next one is a question from Lindsay. Lindsay says, it takes up to 5 days for AM/PM to work. I think you discussed that earlier, correct?
Well, on the average, most of the people who, frankly, most of the people take AM/PM tell me by the second or third day, they definitely know they're sleeping better. And by the fourth or fifth day, they notice their energy's better. And then for up to 8 weeks, actually up to 12 weeks, they seem to continue to improve and then plateau out and stay at a higher level than where they were. So it's really, up to each person, and their state of health, cellular health, that determines how quickly AM/PM will make an impact on how they feel. So let me just make a comment, and this is something that may be a question, but it's important to understand. People who are in poorer health, okay, take longer to respond to AM/PM. In fact, may have a reaction where they say, I'm taking AM/PM and I feel groggy, I feel sluggish, and I feel foggy in my head. And when that happens, that's because AM/PM is not only working, it's actually starting to withdraw the toxins that are in the cells and fatty tissues throughout the body. So they're having what's called a detoxification reaction because of the power of the combined ingredients of AM/PM. So when that happens, the simplest thing to do to tell people is, look, don't take 2 AM/PMs and 2 AMs and 2 PMs. Go down to 1. If you still, and do that daily for the first week or so. And if you're still having some fogginess or feeling not quite right, start with 1 and do that every other day for a week, then go to 1 every day and slowly build up to the right dosage. What that does is allow your body to clear the toxins and compounds that it's been stored over years.
Great. Okay, another one here says, great information, Dr. G. Thank you. I only get around 4 hours of sleep at night. Should I take 1 or 2 tablets?
That's a really good question. You see, the PM component of AM/PM Essentials has a combination of certain types of amino acids. And we learned that this combination of amino acids helps induce deep sleep and actually helps you go into REM, and which is deep sleep. When your body's in REM, that's when cell repair occurs. So the melatonin, the very small amount of melatonin in PM, is not really to make you sleep at all. It's actually a DNA protectant. So it's really the combination of amino acids. So if you're not sleeping, if you wake up, you're taking 1 or 2 tablets and you're not getting a full night's sleep, there are some people who need to take 3 or even 4 PMs to get them to sleep continuously throughout the night. And that's a biological thing each person needs to address. And there are other people who take, for instance, 2 AMs in the morning, 1 AM in midday as a little energy boost with reserve, and take 1 or 2 PMs. So the beauty of this product is you can personalize what's optimal for you and explore a little bit and try a little bit. And there's many people who have come up with their own regimen of how many tablets they like. For instance, I take 2 AMs in the morning, always take 1 AM in the afternoon, and I take 2 or 3 PMs in the evening. So the beauty is you can adjust this based upon how you feel and respond.
Wonderful. I love that you said that. Well, that was actually a question I had as well, Dr. G. I actually take 2 AMs right away as soon as I wake up, and I feel the difference from the first time I tried AM/PM. And so I was hooked, and so is my family. But at night, I have to take half of 1 PM, and right. I sleep like a baby.
Yeah, and see, that's the key here is everybody who's using AM/PM should experiment with what's the optimal dose for them. Let me tell you, for instance, one of the things we found out is if you have a night of partying and you've drank a lot, particularly wine or any alcohol, if you take 4 or 5 PMs before you go to sleep, your body actually metabolizes out the alcohol so quick, most people never get a hangover. So a little bit of a hangover cure in this as well.
Wow. That's a good one for those millennials out there, college students. Another one here, I think we have a time for 2 more.
Sure.
So one says, will AM/PM help with insomnia? And then the other one says, a customer takes PM but cannot sleep. That keeps them awake all night.
Okay. So let's handle the first one. There's many causes of insomnia. That could be an hour talk in itself. But in general, as we age, as I mentioned, when sunlight starts to disappear, there's a change in the retina and the neural pathways from our eyes to the sleep center in our brain. And when that happens, okay, the body starts to release certain hormones, which then change how the cells react, and that actually puts them in more of a repair mode, and we go to sleep. So everybody whoever can't sleep at night, it's usually due to a couple of things. It's usually due their brain is overstimulated. They don't have a ideal sleeping environment where the TV is off, it's cool, it's dark, and all of those things make a big difference. If you're ingesting caffeine or chocolate late in the afternoon or early in the evening, you're going to have a problem with insomnia. But more importantly, I think, if you're not getting the right nutrients to trigger the release of growth hormone, the right amino acid to do that, what's going to happen is your brain won't go into deep REM, and you won't be able to fall asleep and stay asleep. So that's really kind of an overview at the surface level of insomnia. But when it comes to certain people, for instance, who can't sleep on PM, okay, and what I tell them is, first of all, start with, if they've noticed they can't sleep on 2, you cut it down to 1, okay, and you see how you do. And then if you still can't sleep, you cut that 1 in half, okay, and you start to look at what's the right dose. And I will tell you, just about everybody who has played with, for instance, started at like a half of one of the tablets, after a night or 2, they notice, gee, I am sleeping better. And after a week or 2 of that, they try 1 tablet, and they notice, gee, I'm still sleeping better, and I'm not waking up. So it's a matter of getting your biochemistry used to these compounds to help bring back sleep and induce sleep. Does that help? We're good?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. I could hear you perfectly. And then the last one we have here says, what is the preferred ages for usage of AM/PM?
So listen, that's a great question. So when we hit about somewhere between 19 and 20 years of age, our gene expression pattern is optimal. And you would think in today's world, somebody that age wouldn't need any additional nutritional supplements. But frankly, in today's world of fast foods, college stress, staying up late, studying, what we found that people at the college level in their early to mid-20s seem to do amazingly well when they start taking AM/PM. They not only study more efficiently, they don't get sick as often, and basically they started a proactive program to keep yourselves healthy early in life. And if they continue to do that, the cellular aging process is going to be more optimal than somebody who starts later. So to me, if the answer to that question is, you should start your children or give AM/PM as a gift to somebody in college who you'll notice will really appreciate the impact it makes on them.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Giampapa. What an honor. Learned so much, have so many notes. I know the audience was sending you lots of hearts if you guys were on the GoToWebinar app on your phones. Many of you were. I saw lots of hearts. Some questions also that one that we didn't address, but Dr. G certainly did talk about, was the powder. The powder as a delivery system. Just one quickly, because I want to hear the answer to this one. Jason says our understanding is the AM/PM tablets was designed for time release on certain ingredients. How does this play out with the powder form?
Okay, so let me explain how that is really designed into the tablets. When we talk about time release, AM/PM tablets have a coating that helps them get through the GI tract, helps them get through the stomach and not be absorbed rapidly or broken down by the gastric acid. And most of those ingredients actually get absorbed in the small intestine after they pass through the stomach. So that's the time release component in the tablets. It's not that the ingredients themselves are released at different times. Now, what we found out with AM/PM powder is that when you drink AM/PM powder, not only are you getting your nutrients in a quicker, more digestible, kind of partially digested fashion, you mix that with water, which dilutes a gastric juice, number one, so it's not nearly as impactful on the ingredients, but more importantly, it passes through the stomach very quickly, and so the gastric acid doesn't have a chance to really impact the ingredients, and it gets into the small intestine in a liquid, almost semi-digestible format, which is really what most people, as they age, for instance, people in their 60s, 70s, their digestive capacity or absorptive capacity is much less. So AM/PM powder is something that people who are older seem to respond better and quicker to. They seem to fall asleep quicker. They seem to have more energy quicker because the decreased capacity of their inside of their intestines to absorb things. Certain people with inflammatory bowel disease have noticed that the powder works even better because it's more readily absorbed. So in summary, that's my answer to that. But before I sign off, Father's Day is coming up, and I will tell you the best gift you can give your father, brother, or anybody who's going to be around this holiday weekend is a supply of AM/PM essentials. And there's nothing better than giving the gift of health and wellness. And I will tell you that this time of year, I send out hundreds of these to people who are my friends as gifts, just to make sure they know that there's something that really can improve their health.
That could not have been a better close, Dr. Giampapa. Thank you so much. We definitely want to thank you so much for being able, taking some of your busy time in your agenda and coming and joining us for the North America webinar. Guys, this webinar was recorded, and we will have them in the back office. So as you bring on new people, should they have questions about AM/PM, you can always refer back to this incredible webinar, especially to be able to have those readily answers that he discussed as well. And so thank you so much, Dr. Giampapa. We are so honored, and you, if you haven't registered yet, Dr. Giampapa will be at university in the East Coast, so you will want to be there in person to be able to meet him, to hear from him, and to learn more about the wisdom that he has to share. Thank you so much, Dr. G.
Listen, my pleasure. I wish you all a great weekend, Father's Day holiday, and just remember one thing: the most precious thing we all have is our health and well-being. You have a good evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
So just to wrap up, we have a couple announcements that be in the know, latest updates that we have. Of course, Father's Day, Dr. G already mentioned, we have some specials going on with Mind and IA. He said it right, which was the best gift. I love that. The best gift that you can give somebody is a gift of health, and what better than AM/PM? And so you still have some time to put in your order and get it on time for Father's Day. We have 2 more weeks for Ignite Your Potential. Make sure that you are running through the hoops as well. Coming up July 12, we have Discover Jeunesse at Jeunesse headquarters. Make sure if you are local to the area, you do not want to miss this. If you're not local, you do not want to miss this. It's a great event for you to be able to share with your top-notch leads all about what Jeunesse is, what it has to offer. We cover product training. We have our founders there, and they speak in person. We have our Chief Visionary Officer. We have our President of North America, our General Managers. I'd love to see you there. And so last month, we had a full house. We had to move our event over to a hotel. It was so full. So we want to do the same. July 12th is just coming up in a couple of weeks. And so as I said, Jeunesse University is coming up at the end of July. In the East Coast, Dr. Giampapa will be keynote speaker there at that university. We're very excited and honored to have him and to host him in his hometown. And then at the same time, we also have Jeunesse University in the West Coast in Anaheim 2 weeks later. Now next week, you remember week 3 is always Unleash Your Potential webinar. And so next week we're going to be discussing how to grow your business with events. And so whether that is attending the corporate events or putting on your own events. You do not want to miss this incredible webinar next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Same information for you to log in. Mark it on your calendars. You want to be on this webinar. Remember, all of our webinars are recorded. If you had an opportunity to be on tonight live, wonderful. If you know anybody that missed it, it's okay. It was recorded. It will be in the back office under the education calendar, and it will be within the next 24 hours. So tomorrow evening it should be there. You can download, look at the presentation again, and follow through, especially to be able to share that with your team members, even if they're newer, as they continue coming in, that they have an opportunity to listen in and be trained. And then just to close, I want to say thank you again for joining us tonight. I thank you for spending some time in your busy agendas to educate yourself, to learn more, to grow. And the more you learn, the more you grow, and then you can go, go, go. And so we want to make sure that we are providing for you. So should you have comments, questions, suggestions, topics you want to hear, questions you have, please send them my way. I'm your Director of Sales Development for North America. We do this for you, and we want to see you succeed and grow. And so thank you for joining us again, and we will see you again next week. And now on to our multilingual sessions are starting in just a couple minutes. We'll have the same version of this webinar in the native tongues of Spanish, Chinese, and French. And so until next time, thank you.